12 health facts that could transform your golden years, and 3 of them will absolutely shock you. Now, let me ask you this. Have you ever walked out of a doctor's office with more questions than answers? I remember once sitting across from my doctor being told, well, that's just what happens at your age. And I thought to myself, really? That's it? That's the best explanation? Maybe you've heard the same thing. Maybe you've been told your aches, your fatigue, or even your forgetfulness are just normal aging. But here's the truth. A lot of what we chalk up to age isn't inevitable decline at all. It's the result of habits, overlooked deficiencies, or outdated medical advice that simply hasn't caught up with the latest science. Every day, millions of people over 65 make health decisions based on information that's years behind the research. That's not their fault. Medical guidelines can take a decade or more to change, and most doctors don't have the time in a 10-minute appointment to break down every new study. But that leaves you, the patient, in the dark. And here's the good news. Once you know these facts, you can take simple, powerful steps to protect your independence, extend your health span, and yes, even feel better than you did a decade ago. That's what this video is about. I'm going to share 12 essential health facts that can transform how you age. Some of them might surprise you. Some might even go against advice you've been following for years. And 3 of them, well, let's just say when I first read the research, I had to double check to believe it. But before we dive in, I want to make this interactive. Drop a comment below with your age, where you're watching from, and the biggest health concern on your mind right now. I read every comment, and I'm often blown away by your story. In fact, some of our best videos have been inspired directly by what you've shared. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss the next round of evidence-based health tips for seniors. Now, one important note before we begin. This video is for educational purposes. I'm not your doctor, and I don't know your personal medical history. These facts are based on the latest science, but they may not apply in the same way to everyone. Use them as tools, discuss them with your healthcare provider, and always consider your unique situation. All right, let's jump in with number 12. And I'll be honest, this one shook me the first time I learned it because it's the exact opposite of what I grew up believing about food. Fact number 12, protein needs increase. After 65, most seniors think, I'm eating less now, and that's okay. My metabolism has slowed down, so I don't need as much. And while it's true that overall calorie needs drop slightly with age, protein is the one big exception. Here's why. After about age 60, your body becomes less efficient at using the protein you eat, a phenomenon scientists call anabolic resistance. It sounds complicated, but it basically means your muscles don't respond to protein the way they used to. Back in your 30s or 40s, a small chicken breast might have been enough to stimulate repair and growth. Now, it takes a little more protein to trigger the same effect. Without enough, your muscles quietly shrink, a condition called sarcopenia, leaving you weaker, less stable, and more prone to falls. So how much do you really need? The old guideline for adults was 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight per day. But multiple expert groups, including the Prout's Age Study Group and the European Society for Clinical Nutrition and Metabolism, now recommend 1.0 to 1.2 grams per kilogram per day for healthy older adults, and up to 1.5 grams per kilogram if you're frail or recovering from illness. That's not double the amount, as some headlines suggest, but it is significantly higher. For a 150-pound senior, about 68 kilograms. That's 70 to 100 grams per day, compared to the old 55 grams. It's a manageable increase, but one with major benefit. And protein isn't just about muscles. It supports your immune system, speeds up wound healing, helps regulate blood sugar, and even stabilizes mood and cognition. In fact, seniors with higher protein intake recover faster from surgery, fight infections more effectively, and are less likely to experience functional decline. So, how do you get there? The trick is spreading protein throughout the day. Your body can only use about 25 to 30 grams efficiently at once. Instead of saving all your protein for dinner, aim for some at every meal and snack. Here's an example. Breakfast, 3 scrambled eggs with whole grain toast, about 20 grams. Lunch, lentil soup with a side salad, 25 grams. Dinner, grilled salmon with vegetables, 30 grams. Snack, Greek yogurt or cottage cheese with fruit, 15 grams. That adds up to around 90 grams without feeling forced. Let me share a quick story. A close family friend in her late 70s always said, I don't really like meat, I'll just have toast and tea. Over the years, she became frailer, fell twice, and struggled to recover. When her doctor reviewed her diet, she was barely eating 40 grams of protein daily. Once she slowly added more with eggs, yogurt, and beans, her recovery improved dramatically. She told me, I feel like I got a second wind. Mythbuster. Many worry that higher protein harms the kidney. Unless you have diagnosed kidney disease, this isn't supported by research. In fact, adequate protein helps maintain lean mass, which protects metabolism and overall organ function. Bottom line, after 65, protein isn't optional. It's your shield against weakness, frailty, and functional decline. Aim for around 1.2 grams per kilogram daily, spread across meals, and you'll be giving your body the building blocks it needs to stay strong. Fact number 11, vitamin D deficiency, the silent epidemic. Vitamin D is often called the bone vitamin, but really it's a hormone that influences nearly every system in your body. And yet, more than 80% of seniors are deficient. Why so common? As we age, our skin becomes less efficient at producing vitamin D from sunlight. Add in sunscreen, limited outdoor time, and certain medication, and deficiency becomes almost inevitable. The symptoms are subtle: fatigue, muscle weakness, low mood, frequent infections, even memory lapses. These often get brushed off as just aging, but in many cases, they're signs of low vitamin D, and the consequences are serious. Adequate vitamin D strengthens bones and muscles, reducing fall and fracture risk. It supports immune defense, lowering risk of infection. It even plays a role in mood and brain health. Low vitamin D has been linked to depression and faster cognitive decline. So how much do you need? For decades, the recommendation was just 400 IU per day, but modern guidelines, including those from the Endocrine Society, suggest 800 to 2,000 IU daily for older adults, depending on your blood level. The only way to know for sure is to get a simple blood test, the 25-hydroxyvitamin D test. Optimal levels are generally considered to be 30 to 50 nanograms per milliliter. If you're deficient, supplementation is straightforward and safe. Vitamin D3 is the preferred form. Take it with a meal that contains healthy fat, like avocado or olive oil, for best absorption. Pairing it with magnesium and vitamin K. 2 also helps your body use it effectively, directing calcium into your bones instead of your arteries. I'll share my own experience. A few winters ago, I felt constantly tired and achy. My doctor checked my vitamin D. It was only 18, well below optimal. I started supplementing 2,000 IU daily. Within weeks, my energy returned and the aches faded. It wasn't just age. It was a correctable deficiency. Bottom line, vitamin D deficiency is widespread but easily fixed. Ask for a blood test. Aim for 800 to 2,000 IU daily if needed, and you may notice improvements in mood, energy, and even memory. Fact number 10, balance training, the best fall prevention. Here's a sobering fact. Falls are the leading cause of injury-related death in seniors. 1 in 4 adults over 65 will fall each year, and once you've fallen, your risk of another doubles. The solution isn't another pill, it's practice. Balance is a skill, just like riding a bike, and it can be trained at any age. Research shows that just 15 minutes of balance training 3 times per week can reduce fall risk by nearly 50%, more effective than any medication available. So, what does balance training look like? Simple exercises make a big difference. Standing on one leg while holding onto a counter, walking heel to toe across the room like on a tightrope, practicing gentle Tai Chi, which has been shown in studies to significantly reduce fall. Why does it work? Balance training strengthens your inner ear, vestibular system, your joint sensors, proprioceptors, and the neural pathways that keep you upright. It's not just about muscle. It's about retraining your brain. I remember when I first tried a one-leg balance test. I thought, how hard can this be? Within 10 seconds, I was wobbling. That was my wake-up call. Within a month of practicing 5 minutes a day, I improved dramatically. The confidence boost was huge. No more grabbing walls when turning corners. Bottom line, don't wait until after your first fall to start balance training. Prevention today is protection tomorrow. Fact number 9, loneliness is as dangerous as smoking. When people think about health risks, they think about smoking, high blood pressure, or poor diet. But here's something that often gets overlooked: loneliness. Research shows that chronic loneliness and social isolation can increase your risk of early death by up to 50%. That's about the same impact as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. How can something emotional have such a big effect on the body? The answer lies in stress and inflammation. When you feel lonely, your body produces more stress hormones like cortisol. Over time, elevated cortisol increases blood pressure, raises blood sugar, and weakens the immune system. Chronic loneliness also disrupts sleep, which compounds these problems. The end result? Higher risk of heart disease, stroke, depression, dementia, and even faster physical decline. But it's not about the number of people in your life. It's about the quality of your connection. 1 or 2 meaningful relationships can protect your health as much as a large social network. Practical strategies include joining group activities like book clubs, walking groups, or senior fitness classes. Volunteering is another powerful option. Not only do you connect with others, but you also gain a sense of purpose, which is protective in in itself. Daily habits matter too. A phone call with a friend, a video chat with family, or even time with a pet can reduce feelings of isolation. One famous study illustrated this beautifully. Seniors in a nursing home were given plants to care for. Compared to those who didn't have that responsibility, they lived longer and reported better mood. Why? Because caring for something created connection and purpose. I'll share a personal story here. After my spouse passed away, I went through a period of isolation. I'd go days without meaningful conversation, and it showed. My energy dipped, my sleep worsened, and I even noticed I was getting sick more often. Then a neighbor invited me to a weekly walking group. At first, I was hesitant. I thought, what good is an hour walk? But that hour became the highlight of my week. The laughter, the stories, even just walking side by side. It pulled me out of the fog. Within months, I felt healthier and more optimistic. Bottom line, loneliness isn't just an emotion. It's a medical risk. You don't need dozens of friends. What you need is quality, connection, and purpose. Fact number 8. Seniors still need 7 to 9 hours of sleep. A common myth is that older adults need less sleep. You've probably heard people say, I only sleep 5 hours, but I'm fine. But research says otherwise. Seniors still need 7 to 9 hours of sleep each night, just like younger adults. The difference is that aging changes how the body processes sleep. Older adults tend to get less deep sleep, the stage responsible for memory consolidation, tissue repair, and hormone balance. They also wake more frequently due to medical conditions, bathroom trips, or changes in circadian rhythm. Poor sleep isn't just tiring. It raises the risk of heart disease, diabetes, obesity, and dementia. One Harvard study found that adults who regularly slept fewer than 6 hours per night had significantly greater risk of cognitive decline. Another showed that poor sleep quality accelerates the buildup of beta amyloid, a protein linked to Alzheimer's disease. So what can you do? First, focus on your circadian rhythm. Morning light exposure is powerful. A 15-minute walk in the morning tells your brain it's daytime, resetting your sleep-wake cycle. Second, keep your bedroom cool, around 65 to 67 degrees. Fahrenheit is ideal for deep sleep. Third, consider magnesium glycinate, a gentle supplement that helps relax muscles and promote calmness. And finally, nap wisely. A short 20-minute nap can recharge you, but long naps can disrupt nighttime rest. I'll tell you a story about a friend of mine who swore she only needed 5 hours, but she constantly felt foggy and irritable. Her family thought it was just age. When she started practicing better sleep hygiene, dimming lights before bed, cooling the room, and limiting caffeine after noon, her sleep gradually improved to 7 hours. The difference was striking. Her mood lifted, her memory sharpened, and even her blood pressure came down. Bottom line, sleep isn't a luxury. It's essential medicine for your brain and body, especially as you age. Don't settle for poor sleep. It can be improved. Fact number 7, intermittent fasting may benefit seniors. More than the young, intermittent fasting has become a buzzword. But here's the twist. Seniors may actually benefit from it more than younger adults. A simple 12-hour overnight fast, finishing dinner at 7 p.m. and eating breakfast at 7 a.m. can have profound effect. Why? Because fasting gives your body a break from constant digestion and allows it to switch into repair mode. During fasting, cells activate a process called autophagy, literally self-cleaning. They recycle damaged proteins and clear out cellular debris. This reduces inflammation, improves insulin sensitivity, and boosts brain health. For seniors, fasting has several benefits. It helps regulate blood sugar, supports cardiovascular health, and may reduce the risk of cognitive decline. Some studies suggest it even promotes longevity by improving mitochondrial function, the powerhouses of your cells. But here's the key. Fasting doesn't mean starving. Extreme fasting, like 24 or 36-hour fast, can be risky for older adults, especially if you're frail, diabetic, or on multiple medications. The sweet spot is usually 12 to 14 hours overnight. That's as simple as not eating after dinner and waiting until breakfast. Water, herbal tea, and black coffee are fine during this time. I tried this myself, and at first I thought skipping late night snacks won't make much difference. But within a few weeks, I noticed more energy in the mornings, less bloating, and even steadier blood sugar levels. A neighbor of mine, who is 72, told me her fasting routine helped improve her blood sugar so much that her doctor reduced one of her medications. Practical tip: if you take medications that need food, or if you struggle with low blood sugar, consult your doctor before fasting. This isn't one size fits all. Bottom line, moderate intermittent fasting is a safe, free tool for many seniors. Done right, it supports repair, resilience, and healthy aging. Fact number 6, dehydration can mimic dementia. Here's something few people realize. Dehydration can look almost identical to dementia. Confusion, irritability, irritability, fatigue, poor memory, dizziness. All of these can be caused by chronic mild dehydration. Why does this happen more in seniors? As we age, the thirst signal weakens. By the time you actually feel thirsty, you may already be dehydrated. Older adults also lose more water through the kidney and may take medications like diuretics that increase fluid loss. Research shows that even a 2% drop in hydration impairs memory and attention. Over time, chronic dehydration contributes to urinary tract infection, constipation, kidney problems, and falls. So, how much should you drink? A general target is 6 to 8 cups of fluids per day. But remember, it doesn't all have to be plain water. Herbal teas, soups, milk, and water-rich foods like cucumbers, oranges, and melons all count. And here's a myth bust. Coffee and tea are hydrating in moderate amounts. Their fluid content outweighs any mild diuretic effect. A practical strategy is to anchor hydration to routine. A glass when you wake up, one with each meal, one mid-afternoon, and one in the evening. Carrying a marked water bottle can also help remind you throughout the day. I'll never forget visiting a neighbor who seemed unusually forgetful and tired. She worried she was developing dementia, but when I asked how much water she drank, she laughed and said, "Maybe a cup or two." We encouraged her to sip more throughout the day. Within 48 hours, her energy returned and her mind was sharper. It wasn't dementia, it was dehydration. Bottom line, before assuming cognitive decline, always check hydration first. Sometimes the simplest fix makes the biggest difference. Fact number 5, your gut microbiome shapes aging. When people talk about gut health, they usually think about digestion. But here's the real story. Your gut is home to trillions of microbes, bacteria, fungi, even viruses that affect far more than your stomach. Collectively called the microbiome, these organisms help regulate your immune system, influence brain chemistry, and even affect how quickly you age. After 60, microbiome diversity often declines. That means fewer beneficial bacteria and more troublemakers. The result? More inflammation, greater risk of infection, slower healing, and even higher risk of cognitive decline. In fact, a large study in Nature found that seniors with a more diverse gut microbiome lived longer and functioned better physically than those with less diversity. Another study showed that older adults with healthier gut bacteria walked faster and performed better on memory tests. So what influences your gut microbiome? Food is the biggest driver. Beneficial bacteria thrive on fiber, especially prebiotic. The fibers found in beans, whole grains, apples, bananas, onions, and leafy greens. Fermented foods add probiotic or live bacteria directly. Things like yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, and miso. On the other hand, highly processed foods and excess sugar feed harmful bacteria, throwing the balance off. One practical approach is the 30 plants per week goal. This doesn't mean 30 giant salads. It means aiming for a wide variety. Every herb, spice, fruit, vegetable, grain, or nut count. A stir fry with onions, broccoli, carrots, and peppers already gets you 4. A salad with mixed greens, beans, and tomatoes adds more. By the end of the week, you can easily reach 30. I'll share something personal. In my early 60s, I struggled with bloating and fatigue. A nutritionist suggested I diversify my diet. I started adding kefir at breakfast, beans at lunch, and a mix of vegetables at dinner. Within weeks, my digestion improved, my energy lifted, and even my mood was steadier. It felt like a whole system upgrade. Bottom line, your gut health is your foundation. Feed your microbiome with fiber and fermented food, and it will repay you with energy, resilience, and sharper thinking. Fact number 4, hearing loss raises dementia. Risk by 500%. This one surprises almost everyone. Untreated hearing loss increases dementia risk up to 5-fold. That's a 500% increase. It sounds unrelated. What do your ears have to do with your brain? But once you understand the connection, it makes perfect sense. Here's what happens. When your ears can't pick up sound clearly, your brain has to work overtime to fill in the gaps. That extra effort pulls resources away from memory and thinking. Imagine trying to have a conversation in a noisy restaurant. Exhausting, right? Now imagine your brain doing that all day, every day. Over time, it wears down. There's another factor too. People with untreated hearing loss often withdraw socially. They stop going to gatherings because it's too hard to follow conversation. That isolation then accelerates decline, just like we discussed in fact number 9. But here's the hopeful part. Studies show that seniors who use hearing aids have no greater dementia risk than those with normal hearing. Treating hearing loss seems to protect the brain. So what can you do? First, get a baseline hearing test in your 60s, even if you think you're fine. Hearing loss often creeps up slowly, and many people don't notice until it's advanced. If hearing aids are recommended, remember that today's technology is far better than decades ago. Many devices are nearly invisible, comfortable, and even connect to smartphones. I'll share a story. A gentleman I know resisted hearing aids for years. "I don't want to look old," he said, but his family noticed he was becoming withdrawn and forgetful. Finally, he agreed to try them. Within weeks, he was engaged in conversations again, laughing at jokes he used to miss, and his memory seemed sharper. He later told me, "I wish I hadn't waited. I feel like I got my life back." Bottom line, hearing health is brain health. Don't let pride or stigma stop you from getting tested. Protecting your ears means protecting your mind. Fact number 3, resistance training beats cardio alone. Cardio is important for your heart and lung, but when it comes to independence and longevity, resistance training may actually give you the bigger return. Why? Because strength is what keeps you capable. It's the difference between being able to get up from a chair versus needing assistance, between carrying groceries versus feeling helpless, between living independently versus relying on others. Research is clear. Muscle mass. Fact number 2, poor oral health damages more than your teeth. Most people think of oral care as just keeping your teeth clean. Brush, floss, maybe whiten. But the truth is that poor oral health affects far more than your smile. Gum disease creates chronic inflammation, and inflammation doesn't stay in your mouth. It travels throughout your entire body. Here's how it works. Bacteria from infected gums can enter the bloodstream, triggering inflammation in blood vessels, and even traveling to the heart and brain. Research shows seniors with gum disease have higher risks of heart disease, stroke, diabetes complications, and even dementia. A Harvard Health Review found strong links between gum disease and Alzheimer's disease, likely due to inflammation and direct bacterial invasion. So, what does prevention look like? It's simple but consistent. Brush twice daily with fluoride toothpaste. Floss or use a water flosser if arthritis makes flossing difficult, and see a dentist regularly for professional cleaning. If dry mouth is an issue, common with certain medications, sugar-free gum or lozenges can stimulate saliva, which naturally protects teeth. It's easy to underestimate oral health until you see the consequence. I once spoke with an older woman who suffered from recurring chest infection. Her doctor eventually traced it back to poor oral hygiene. Bacteria from her gums were likely aspirated into her lung. Once she improved her dental routine, the infections dropped dramatically. And here's a myth buster. Losing teeth isn't an inevitable part of aging. With proper care, seniors can keep their natural teeth for life. Bottom line, a healthy mouth is a gateway to a healthy body. Protecting your gums and teeth protects your heart, brain, and overall health. Fact number 1, purpose is the strongest medicine of all. We've covered nutrition, exercise, sleep, and more. But here's the most powerful fact of all. Having a sense of purpose protects against cognitive decline more than any medication, supplement, or brain training game. Purpose isn't just philosophy. It's biology. Research from the Rush Memory and Aging Project found that seniors with a strong sense of purpose were 40% less likely to develop Alzheimer's disease. Other studies show purpose lowers stress hormones, strengthens the immune system, and even reduces the risk of heart attacks and stroke. So what does purpose mean? It doesn't have to be grand or world-changing. It simply means having a reason to get out of bed, something that feels meaningful to you. That could be volunteering, mentoring, learning a new skill, caring for grandchildren, or nurturing a hobby. For some, it's creative, painting, gardening, writing. For others, it's social, joining a club, leading a group, helping neighbors. The activity itself isn't as important as the meaning behind it. I'll share a personal story. After retiring, I struggled with a sense of emptiness. My days felt unstructured, and I found myself slipping into apathy. Then I began mentoring at a local community center, teaching computer basics to older adults. Suddenly, I had structure, social interaction, and the joy of seeing others succeed. It gave me more energy than any supplement ever had. And that's what the science shows. Purpose changes biology. It lowers stress, improves immunity, and keeps the brain engaged. Seniors with strong purpose don't just live longer, they live better. Bottom line, find your why, and you'll find your health. Purpose isn't optional, it's a lifeline. So there you have it. 12 essential health facts that can transform your golden years. From eating enough protein to strengthen your body, to protecting your hearing to safeguard your brain, from nourishing your gut microbiome to discovering your purpose. These aren't just tips, they're evidence-based strategies for thriving, not just surviving as you age. And here's the key takeaway. Aging isn't about decline, it's about adaptation. Yes, your body changes. Yes, your brain changes. But science shows that with the right tools, your body and mind are remarkably capable of improvement, even growth, at any age. Think about it. Every one of these facts is something you can take action on. You can choose to adjust your protein intake. You can ask your doctor for a vitamin D test. You can commit to a simple balance practice for 10 minutes a day. You can call a friend, join a group, or volunteer to ease loneliness. You can protect your hearing, strengthen your muscles, nurture your oral health, and most importantly, find your purpose. Small, consistent changes compound over time. You don't need to overhaul your entire lifestyle overnight. Choose one or two of these strategies and start today. Maybe it's drinking an extra glass of water. Maybe it's adding beans to your dinner. Maybe it's dusting off those resistance bands in the closet. Each step builds momentum. And let me say this, it's never too late. I've met people in their 80s who started exercising for the first time and regained independence. I've seen seniors in their 90s find new hobbies hobbies that gave them joy and energy. The human body and spirit is resilient beyond what most of us imagine. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these 12 facts surprised you the most? Which one are you going to try first? Drop it in the comments below. I read every single one, and I often respond with personalized advice. Your stories inspire not just me, but the whole community here. If this video helped you, please give it a thumbs up. Share it with a friend who could benefit. And don't forget to subscribe for more evidence-based senior health content. We release new videos every week designed to help you live stronger, longer, and happier. Because in the end, it's not about adding years to your life. It's about adding life to your years. Thanks for watching, and here's to your healthiest years ahead.